When are you gonna start talking again?
What's up, everybody? This is Fidel of Talking Again podcast, and I'm here again to release another episode of The Tap. This episode is a special edition. It's a special issue. It's from the long lost video that I recovered about a year ago, and it's with Cheli and Mia of Living with an Empath. We did kind of like a swapcast. Unfortunately, I never released it because we lost the footage. It just disappeared. You know, we got into a lot of conspiracy theories and whatnot. I think Cheli even mentioned to us that, you know, the angels weren't happy of us speaking of these certain topics. So I'm not sure why. Obviously, it wasn't there where it got cut off, but you guys will see in the video where it did get cut off. But I'll let the girls explain in more detail as to what happened on the video or with the video on their podcast that they recorded just after our recording. So again, it was over a year ago, a year and a half ago to be exact. So my apologies to Cheli and Mia, but it is out, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And this is an introduction or a reintroduction of the show. We will be recording more frequently now, so I hope you guys enjoy. Please make sure you guys follow, subscribe, share the episode if you guys enjoy it. And then until then, we'll see you guys. Adios.
But a lot's happened since.
Mm-hmm. We were supposed to record our swapcast with Fidel this past week
On Sunday.
and 2 hours. It was flowing great. It was nothing recorded, guys. Nothing recorded.
Okay. My mom just jumped right into it. So let me explain. So, Talking Again podcast Tap had reached out to us for us to go back again because my mom's been on the podcast before, and this time he wanted to have Living with an Empath on the podcast. So we were hyped as fuck. We're like, this is gonna be so good. We were prepared, whatever. So we get there, and he does this thing where he goes live to introduce his guests, and then he saves it. So we were on live for like a good 15-20 minutes, I think, which was pretty long. And after that, he set up his phone, and he has everything connected to his phone rather than like how I have everything connected to a computer so I can see when it stops recording. Anyways, so he starts the video, and we were going to do a swapcast. He was going to post it on his and ours. So it wasn't necessarily like him being on our podcast or him or us being on his podcast. It was just literally a collaboration is what I'm trying. There you go. It was a collab. Mm-hmm. So it was going to be really fun. It was so good. It was 2 hours long. We were going to make it I was going to make it a two-parter. Mm-hmm. And I was going to upload the video to YouTube as well. It was so good, you guys. We talked about everything fucking controversial. We talked about hot topics. I definitely would have got canceled if it probably would have came out. Maybe that's why. But anyway, so it was 2 fucking hours, you guys, of just talking about like abortions, conspiracies about the abortions, covert incest. That was the first thing we started with. So my mom just brought it up, and I was like, great, Mom. What else did we talk about? The Denver airport. We were on that for a hot minute. We talked about crisis actors for a hot minute. Mm-hmm. We talked about so much.
Folklore, chupacabra.
Oh, yeah. La Llorona. My mom and him had a quick flashback to the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And we did this. We talked about the Ouija board. And we just talked about so fucking much, you guys. It was 2 hours of good shit. It was so fun. And I kept looking at the phone. I just had a feeling. I wish I would have said something earlier when I had the feeling, because I know our luck. But I kept looking at his phone, and I just had the feeling of it's not recording. It's not recording. And I kept staring at it, but obviously I couldn't tell if it was recording or not. And at the end of it, Fida was like, oh, this was such a great podcast. Like, I'm glad we got everything on here, whatever, if it even recorded. And I was like, that's so funny that you say that, because I was literally thinking the whole time, like, I don't think this is recording. I have a feeling it's not recording. And I told him the curse of we have a lot of technical difficulties lately when it comes to our podcast. It's either it just stops recording, or give me 1 second. Put my phone. I forgot to put my phone. Do not disturb. What did I say? Oh yeah, sometimes happens if it just stops recording, the audio just doesn't work, it doesn't want to read our microphones, or we finish and then we lose the audio for some reason. There's just so many things that end up happening. And I told him that's our luck, is losing everything. And of course, so he goes and he just starts laughing and he's like, nothing recorded. And me and my mom were like, you're a fucking liar. And he was like, no, literally nothing recorded. And then he was just like, he was so like, he even took his hat off to like rub his head because he was so like, oh my God. And we were like, damn, that sucks. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I told him, like, I had a feeling. Like, me and my mom were not shocked. We were just like, damn. But it was a really fun podcast. It was so good that my mom couldn't even get a reading it. She did not pull out the like notebook. It was just like us flowing of the conversations. And it was just that like we never stayed on a conversation for more than like 2 or 3 minutes because it would just automatically shift to something else.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just three friends sitting around drinking and just chit-chatting.
Yeah.
Is what it was. And it was flowing so naturally. And there was no need like for me to tap into anything because we're just briefly having a conversations. And it was just great. The whole flow, the way that we got along. I could see future collabs like that about different topics because it's one of those where we have no filters.
Yeah.
And it's very funny and we're all on the same page but we all have different views and we respect each other's views. And I felt so bad because nothing recorded. He was just like, what? And then I had tagged him and I had posted about how I didn't record. And,
did you?
Yeah, I did. And I had said something like, sorry, Fidel, welcome to our world or something. This is what happens when you become friends with empaths. And he said, I'm not scared. So I'm glad that he didn't, become flustered, right? Or frustrated the way that we did. But I think it's something where whatever shows we come on, that we have to give them that warning,
I have to be in charge of it, or like them have like a separate like thing to record
2 backups,
on.
yeah, like two backups because it's something we can't control. It just happens. I honestly felt that it stopped for a reason.
It never started. There was not even a single clip or audio at all. Like it just had never. Like if he never pressed play.
Yeah,
and he was like, I swear to God, I pressed play. He's like, I swear on my life, I pressed play. Because he was back there, he was recording, then he was like 1, 2, and he was recording. He said he never heard it stop. There's no saved video. There's no audio, not even like 2 seconds of a video. So we were just like, damn. Like I felt bad for him because he said he's never experienced anything like that, and that's happened once, but he was able to catch it when it stopped recording because he heard the little ding.
And this time he didn't. So it was a trip. It was a trip.
Coffee's so gross.
Throw it away. You want your Red Bull?
I have it next to me, but. Yeah, I felt so bad for him. And it was such a good podcast. So now we're going to go back. Actually, is it this week? Holy fuck, we go back on Tuesday.
No, the day after Memorial.
What's up, everybody? This is Fidel of Talking Again Podcast.
Hi, this is Cheli, the empath.
And Mia, the daughter. We're living with an empath. And we're doing a swapcast.
This is a swapcast.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I think the hardest part was probably trying to find out how we're going to do the intro.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I was like, wait, how are we going to do it? But now this is perfect. That was
It's good. It reminds me of those crossover shows when they do like a crossover. Like ABC always does that. Like when they're introducing a new show, they do a crossover with the cast and it leads into that show. That's what we're doing.
That's what this is. This is a swapcast. But it's kind of different where we're not going to Talking Again Podcast is featuring and showcasing people from our community, just random, people that are passionate about what they do. And even though I know you guys are passionate about what you're doing with your podcast, it's not going to be so much as an interview as it is more of like, we're just going to talk, right?
Yeah.
And your podcast is I'll let you guys
just
explain.
ramble about random shit. But when we do have guests, we do interview them and we do ask them questions and they talk about their life and stuff. But yeah, we I guess ours, what would you call it? Supernatural? I say it's supernatural podcast just because we do touch into that.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like when we list our podcast like on Spotify, like there's no category for supernatural. So I go back and forth between like it kind of being like spirituality, but then like spirituality has such a like negative like effect on it because then you think like crazy spiritual people, and then like you can't do religion because we're not religious people, we're spiritual people, and we can't do true crime, which I would love to put it under, but like we don't talk, like my mom doesn't like talking about true crime because then she gets affected by it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, I don't know, like, and there's no like miscellaneous or other or whatever. So it's kind of like, I don't know how to categorize, but I do say we're like a supernatural podcast because
That's what I would choose as.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
They should have like a supernatural. What would be, if you were to look for a supernatural podcast, the category what would it be, like horror? What do you think?
Mystery?
Like ghost, mystery.
Mystery?
Oh yeah, mystery's a good
maybe
one.
mystery. Because when I think spiritual, I think spiritual healing. I think healing is like the first thing.
That's
that
what I
comes to
think
mind.
too.
Healing.
Yeah.
And then when you think religion, like you just think like, that's me.
I
I
think-
don't have a positive like thing on religion, so I don't
Yeah.
like to even though my mom is religious and does believe in God, we don't have a religion.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to say spirituality. But then when you say spirituality, like like crystals and the healing. And that's what what my mom does, but that's not what I categorize myself. Like the podcast about like it is a topic, but it's not like our genre.
Right.
Yeah.
And then before we don't know where we're going to go. We're just going to vibe and see where we're going to go. But I just like, we do want to give a trigger warning for, like we do with all of our episodes, that, whatever we say, it is based on our opinions. And this is all for entertainment purposes. So please, before continuing on, before, getting into this show, before you start listening, just be aware that these are our opinions. We mean nothing but by that.
I would say we're like controversial, supernatural. That's like our genre. It's like controversial, where I would probably get canceled and I have to say what not necessarily cancel in a bad way, but just kind of like I need to watch my mouth sometimes because I do ramble. But yeah, I would say like controversial, but not in like a mean way, but in like a hot take. We have a lot of hot takes, I think.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hot takes.
I can agree with that. I'll agree with you because I think, you're very opinionated, right? And you're not going to filter yourself. You're just going to say it what you're feeling. And a lot of people have a problem with that when they don't want to hear like sometimes the truth, or maybe they don't want to hear what like the opposite of what they believe in. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
So,
I think I bring that up a lot too, of like calling people out. Like we had that emotional incest episode, and that did not go well with a lot of like men. And then we did a poll, and then I think the poll is like, I had put a poll because you could put polls on Spotify.
Right.
So I had put one like, do you believe in emotional incest? And everything was like, no. So it's kind of like but then it's like, because I'm in psychology and I'm in childhood development, like that's my area of expertise. Like that's what I work on. So it's kind of like, a lot of stuff, like I said, controversial.
I never knew it had like a name, like for something like that. But I see it. I think, people out there, they see it. They just they don't know how to categorize it.
It's very evident. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know how. It's like a study now, I guess, right?
Yeah, it is definitely a study that's happened within the last 20 years, because it was always like, like they're just protective and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very common. I think just because I have to personally deal with it, like with my boyfriend and his family, and I have to bring his eyes open. He doesn't like it, but he is starting to see the boundaries and stuff. But then it's like a lot of like, when I post that, like a lot of people did reach out to me, like specifically girls saying like, oh my god, my ex was like this. I had like aunts reach out saying like, this is why I don't talk to like your uncle's side of the family because of this and that. Like a lot of people reached out. Like a lot of girls deal with it, and girls see it as like fucking weird, but boys don't, because they're like, that's just my mom, or like, I'm the boy.
Well, that's where the term mama's boy comes through. But then there's a fine line, right? There's a mama's boy. It becomes being a negative thing because I think those experiences, but like Fidel said, we saw it as normal, or like, maybe just a mom being overbearing, or sometimes some sons grow up and they're a single mom, right? And so that's my mom, so it's very sensitive. But there are sometimes some parents that overstep their boundaries, and because the kids already grew up, to them it's normal, so they don't see anything wrong with it. Right. So I mean, that could go whichever way. So really,
it's definitely a hot take. It's gonna be my thesis when I get my doctoral.
It's a trigger.
Yeah,
it's a trigger. What do you think of that? A mama's boy.
Well, I think it's
granted, you have two sons.
I do have two sons, and my wife has never uttered the words, those girls will never be good enough, because they're only 11 and 3.
Yeah.
But I already know that those are the words that come out of her mouth. You know what I mean? Like, they're never going to be as good as mom, right?
Yeah.
But it's the truth. Like, you're like, especially right now with Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Thank you.
With Mother's Day which just passed, I read a lot of like quotes of what a mom is, right? Like mothers. And there's never the mother's love is like that true love. Like there's never going to be anything like it. You're never going to replace it. You know what I mean? So I get that. But there is like you were saying, a fine line where for us it was normalized, where especially in the Latino culture.
100%.
It was so like common for that. Obviously like, even the word suegra has a bad rap,
right?
like a bad, like I don't even like saying, I don't call my mother-in-law suegra or suegro like my father-in-law, just because it sounds bad. Like I'll never say suegra, suegro, because I think the word's negative almost,
right? Yeah,
because I think we've grown up to where it's like la suegra, el suegro, and it has that already to where for sure like those women are always like, well, I'm never gonna be good enough for your mom. And I think it's very common with us, so I believe it for sure, 100%. I don't think really my mom, I wouldn't say that she's like that, but I think other people outside looking in might think that about my mom. So if you guys know my parents, let me know.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I do think that.
Were you the only boy in the family?
No, there's two. There's 2 and 2. There's 2 girls, 2 boys.
Okay, and where do you fall in from all 4?
So it's my oldest sister. It's me, my youngest brother, or my only brother, and then my youngest sister.
Oh, okay.
So girl, 2 boys, girl.
I have.
That's like exactly how my boyfriend is. It's like a girl, and then the 2 boys, and then a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I have like 3 sons, and 2 of them already have girlfriends. The 14-year-old and the 20-year-old, right?
And my mom's the only single one in the household. All her kids are booed up except for her, except for the youngest one because he's 8.
Yeah, because he's 8. But one of the things with my boys, like I raise them to be respectful. Like always, if you're gonna have a girlfriend, I will allow it, but just make sure that, it's a respectful relationship. Like don't bring out, this is one of the things that I, as a mom, I always said, don't bring me anyone that you're not in a relationship with. Because I don't want to be meeting different girls or different boys, because I'm horrible with names. I'm going to call them by the wrong name, or I just bring me someone that you like, that that if you're officially legit, like this is my girlfriend or this is my boyfriend, then introduce me. Other than that, I don't want to know. Yeah. Right. And it's been that's what it's been. And I did get salty. I would say like a couple of weeks ago. What was it that I got salty with? Like I responded.
I don't know.
What was it?
Was it with the 20-year-old?
You know what? What it was? Yeah. What it was that I had dyed my hair, or I think it was a couple months back actually. And it was like purple. And my kids did not notice it till like 3 weeks later, right? So there were, and I didn't say anything. And one of my boys, my 20-year-old, he's like, "Hey, oh shit, you dyed your hair." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been purple for 3 weeks." He's like, "Oh, I didn't even, sorry, Mom, I didn't notice." I'm like, and I just came out and I said, "Oh yeah, but if it was your girlfriend, you would have noticed like within the hour." But and then he was like, "Okay," and he just walked away.
And there it is, right? She's not getting it.
Yeah, I got salty.
Now let me ask you then. That we're talking about that, and you asked me, what about you? Like, do you think that you're gonna have that? You may hold back a little bit, but of that, no girl's gonna be good enough for my kids.
No.
I think just for the reason being that like my 14-year-old brother has a really good girlfriend. She's so considerate. She has like chickens and she'll bring us eggs. Oh, cool. She makes like cookies from scratch. She'll literally come to the house just to drop off cookies. Like she's so sweet. And then like my brother's girlfriend, who's my age, he's 20 and like the girlfriend's 23, so we're like the same age, but we're both on like different levels of maturity. So sometimes I forget that we're like the same age because I think I'm more mature like mentally. But like they're great people. I think if it was like they weren't good girls and we didn't get along and stuff like that, then it would be like I can see that. But like I think like they're great.
Like they are, because they elevate the boys. Because especially like my 14-year-old, he was falling behind on his grades and he wasn't motivated. And the girlfriend, and he has a good group of friends too, and I'm very blessed, that they're around him because they push him.
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey, let's go join this group. Let's go try this. So
let's go to school plays.
Yeah.
Or let's go to the park.
They push him to do
and he'll
activities.
be like on FaceTime. The 14-year-old will be on FaceTime with the girlfriend, and she's like studying and whatever. And then they're like studying together. So it's like they keep it like they're good people. Like for my brother being 14, like I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend until I was like 20. Like I had to hide dating. Like I had to move to Kansas to date people because my mom was crazy. And she was the type that's like, I'm gonna tell your dad you're dating. And I'm like, my dad's picking out my outfits. Like, and she'd be like so upset. And I'm like 19 years old in another state. So it's just like one of those of like, I was kind of worried of him having a girlfriend, but then like he's definitely super mature for his age. So we kind of trust him, and we trust like the girlfriend too, because she's just quiet. Like she's just there. Like they're not mischievous at all. Complete opposite. I think if it was like, because he's had 2 girlfriends, so he was with this like girl. I think if he was with her and we just saw how she kind of was portrayed on social media, like what he would post, we were like, oh, like that's weird. Like we probably would have like not let him be, so like have as much freedom. And I say we because I have to control him too, because my mom is like super lenient and liberal with him, where me and my brothers have to be like, no, you need to be home. It's 9 o'clock. Where are you? Like you're 14. Like, my mom would be like, oh, I don't know, like he's out about. But it's just one of those of like, if it was his little ex-girlfriend, then I think we would definitely have a problem with it, because she was like, you definitely could tell was very mischievous, and what he would say and stuff, and what the things we would hear. But then with this girlfriend, she's just there. Like and the parents
are like really on top of her too. But when he goes out, like he'll go out with his friends, and all the friends and the parents, like we all know each other, and they're really good kids. Like to them, doing like something like bad would be, I don't know. they're like nerdy.
They're so nerdy. He's had the same like 2 best friends since elementary school. He's a freshman now.
They were like, Mom, we're gonna go for a walk, and it was like him and like the two of his best friends. I'm like, okay. And they were gone for like an hour. I wasn't worried because they were posting, because I have my kids on my Instagram. So I looked at his story, and they're all posing with like a samurai sword in the driveway. Like they're really crazy.
Super nerdy. Like their idea of getting wild is like going out and buying a Little Caesars pizza and soda, and then going to the park. Like nothing too crazy, where they're just like having the time of their lives, taking selfies, like things like that.
So
that's good.
And it's just it is a different world than what we're not gonna go there, but it was different. I think now, like the way that these kids communicate is all online through the phones, right? For us, we had to go out. Like we had to go out and meet in person.
She was bad. My mom was a bad child. She was and I think that's why she was always so strict with me, is because she was a horrible child. Well, teenager. And I was never along that line. Like I would lie and say I would take Ubers to Knott's and be like, oh, my friend's mom is dropping us off, but we would take an Uber, which is like 20 minutes away from Pico. But not a big deal. But her, she fucking crazy.
It was different times.
It was different. It was good times.
Yeah. It was good times. I saw the post that you did not so long ago. Actually, it was today, about the 90s.
Rosarito.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, that was different times, Like,
those were good times.
Yeah.
So I saw TikTok, and they had a video of like the 90s, like Rosarito. We used to go every other weekend to Rosarito. So being like 17, 18, because over there at 18 you could drink. So it was the place to go. Legally. It was like clubs. It was wild.
See, I'm not that type. I think like clubs are so disgusting. Like I would rather just go to a bar and sit down. Like I see papas and beers.
They're all homebodies. Like
like I see papas and beers, and I'm like, that looks absolutely gross. Like I would never be involved in that. Luckily my boyfriend's like the same way of like, I wouldn't, like that looks absolutely gross. I don't know, maybe because we're together and I kind of rubbed off on him, because he used to be like crazy before he met me. Like he was a wild child. But we don't like talk about our past, so I don't know too much about him. But like we're definitely homebodies. Like I would rather go to a bar and not be in a crowd and just like chill. Sit and chill. Like even just going out to a bar, I'm like, oh my god, that's so crazy.
Back then it was more like to go out. It was about the music and hanging out and meeting people. And just good vibes. Like even house parties, like or like lowrider events, or like car shows, or even going like to the fair was to meet people, was to get out of the house and be able to go socialize, because that's what it was about. Exactly the music and the vibe.
How old are you, Fida?
We're just,
I'm 40.
Oh, you guys are around the same age.
That time, and it was just back then. That's when house music started popping off, and it was like parties here and there, and then we had like it was like the peak when like Snoop Dogg and hip hop was like
that
the
was the best.
and then
And
dance
then house
battles,
music.
yeah.
I mean, that was our way of networking. You know, like nowadays, like you were just talking about, like everything's on the phone, social media. But for us, we didn't have that. It was actually going out and meeting people and having to swipe left and right, like literally, like, you know,
in
face
person,
to face.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Exactly.
You know?
There's literally YouTube videos like that.
Exactly.
Where,
Is it really?
like, yeah, it's called like in-person Tinder. So it's this YouTube channel called Cut. It's so their videos are so good. Jubilee and Cut are so funny. Like I think you guys will like those videos. So like they'll put like just like a square box, like a photo. And then they have like a line of people and it's a girl standing there and they're just like, oh, left, right. And it's like in person, like to these guys and girls. It's kind of funny. But
yeah, but it was just a whole different vibe. And it's like, you know how you guys have your EDC or your rave festivals, right? So we would have parties like that every Friday, Saturday, sometimes during the week, during school hours. It was
Remember the ditching parties?
Yes.
That means when you leave school at 10 or 11 a.m. and you go to a party, you just get drunk
and just hang out. And then you go back. You have to make sure you leave the house before like 3 p.m. because the parents are going to be getting home. You have to help clean out. Yeah, we did so many of those. And then we would have rave parties where we would charge a cover charge.
Flyer parties,
to be able to pay for the beer and the DJ, right? To be able to pay for
selling balloons, right? The Nas balloons.
Nas balloons. We're all up.
Those are the good old times. You know what else happened in the 90s?
What?
A lot of conspiracy theories.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's because when the internet was born.
Okay, so when you have everything that we're now, like everybody's talking about, like there's so much evil out there. No, there's always been evil. It's just that now we have it at our fingertips. You know what I mean? But back then in the mid 90s is for sure when the internet was, you know, popular. That, like, for example, the chupacabras. The chupacabras was like mid 90s, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it came out. And for those that don't know, the chupacabras was that it's a folklore, right? We don't even know if it's true or not. But
my mom's like a ride or die chupacabra. She 100% believes it.
Well, hey, we grew up with it, so I believed
People
it too.
were scared. Like,
yeah,
it was crazy.
It was our Richard Ramirez of the 90s. Richard, you remember Richard Ramirez? Is it Richard Ramirez?
Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, of the 90s. But it was the chupacabras. We didn't know, you know. At first, it was happening in like Central America, South America, and then Mexico. And then all of a sudden it started hitting the United States, and we're like, oh shit, it's coming our way.
Yeah.
So everybody was in fear, you know, and we'll get into like the whole conspiracy theory about it. But if you think about fear, right, and if this was created by social media or the government is creating this thing, is what do they do when they create fear? Is they try to distract you from what's really going on, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
there was no mode. Like, okay, so now we could go on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We could go anywhere on the internet and look up the stuff. But back then, the only way was through word of mouth and stories, right? And then they used to have like, in the newsstands, this magazine that they would sell, and they would have all like conspiracy theories, like all the stuff.
I think they still have it, but it's not as popular, right?
Yeah, but back then it was very popular. My dad would always buy it,
like the News Inquirer or stuff like that. Right?
Yeah. So that my dad would every time it would come out, he would buy it, and that's where the news it was all conspiracy stories.
Tabloids,
yes, and
tabloids. That's what you guys were trying to say.
We couldn't think of the word, but so that's where we would get our news and the chismes from. Or Primer Impacto had like a little episode where they
oh my god, they still do that shit.
They would have like UFO sightings or whatever, stuff like that. That's how we would get the news. It's not like now where people record and they post it. The internet came up in our time, right? It took like an hour just to log in.
I remember.
Well, I mean, that's like, so the moon hoax was something like a conspiracy. It was the 50s. I don't know if you heard of the moon hoax, but like it wasn't real and it was in a TV studio. So the thing of it being fake developed in the 60s, and there's like a little bit of group of people who are like, yeah, it is fake because it doesn't make sense. But it didn't gain recognition until the 90s, which was until the internet did it. And then there was like a segment on X-Files and shit like that. So it's like, for sure, I think the 90s was like the start. You know how like the 70s is the start of the serial killers? The 90s was like the start of conspiracy theories for fucking sure.
And there were so many like different things that were going on in the, you know, in the 90s that, again, we don't know if it was real or not, or if it was like made up to distract us. Because you know, one of the things that came to mind when I saw that it was in 95, and then I was doing research on the Denver airport. You guys have heard of that?
Oh my God, I was going to talk about that today, but I didn't feel like researching it. Is it because of the mural? Because they're removing it?
No, I don't know anything about the mural, but which mural are they removing?
So there's like, I think 2 or 3 conspiracies on the Denver airport. So one is that there's like secret tunnels, and then it's like a meeting spot for all the world leaders to meet and discuss how they're going to take over the world. And then the third
NWO?
one, yeah, and then the third one is Children of the World Dream of Peace, which is their mural, which has like all these kids dying on this mural.
Oh, wow.
And then it has this guy in like it looks like Nazi era,
like
where has like the green mask and has like a sword and he's slicing. So people think like, oh, that's the image of the end of the world and what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So because of the conspiracy around it, Denver Airport is putting in $500,000 to remove the mural because of all these conspiracies, and it just kind of like having subliminal messages, and then like the leader thing in the tunnel. So people think that that's like the starting of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Denver Airport's huge. Have you been to it?
Oh, no, I've never been to it.
It's crazy huge. I've had so many layovers there. It is huge.
It's one of the biggest, right?
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest airports around here. It's fucking wild.
It's one of the biggest. They say they went over like $2 billion over budget. That's $2 billion over budget. So they had a budget. They went $2 billion over it.
Oh my gosh.
To get it done. But yet it's probably, like they said, it's like one of the slowest airports. It's not busy. Nobody goes to it. Nobody uses it. They're like, why did they invest so much money and then not, being used? And then when you look at an aerial shot of the airport, the way it's designed, like you can look at the LAX and it has its own design, whatever, JFK. This one here, the Denver, the way that it's designed, and they said it's supposed to be for traffic so that it can move, everything moves faster, but it's the swastika.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I looked up, I saw a picture. Now, again, we don't know if it's real or not, right?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen an actual aerial shot of it. And people say, the moon landing is fake because it's all made up. But yeah, if you look at an aerial shot of if you're researching right now, the Denver airport, it's shaped like a swastika. So that's kind of like trippy because it goes back to, again, the Nazi dude, right? With the kids. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's weird. And then, here's another thing. That thing was built in the mid 90s. So if they're building this underground tunnel or tunnels and underground buildings, they say 5-story buildings and underground, and that is where they meet up. If they wanted to create a distraction, why not do something like the Chupacabra?
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody was focused on that. The whole nation was talking about that. The whole world was talking about the Chupacabra.
Yeah, it was huge. And I think this is where distractions come into play. Like, let's say, like, pandemics, inflation, like they distract you with these things while they're doing something else. Yeah. Right. It's very, why would they go $2 billion over budget on an airport that nobody really flies into? It's like, Denver, middle nowhere.
Makes you think, like, is it true? Do they have an underground thing? Is that where they're meeting?
I wouldn't be surprised if Disneyland has underground tunnels for cast members. I know. That's what I'm saying. If they have, like, Disneyland has it, it's obviously confirmed. But I'm saying, like, Disneyland has them, then why wouldn't, like, an airport that big have underground tunnels and stuff?
But then the question is, you start asking yourself, is why, right? Why do they have that? Why is it so big? Why did they go over budget? Why isn't that used? Why is it shaped like a swastika? Like, why, right?
Yeah.
In this day and age, that question, why, everybody's asking it, like, now, right? But the problem is that not too many people are doing the actual research that you should be doing. And even if you try to do it, you're going to find whatever narrative you want online, and you're going to say that that's the truth. Yeah. Because there's so much information out there, right? And you don't know if it's true or not.
You gotta go like on Reddit, where Reddit has like no censors and stuff.
No, even Reddit's censored too. Like, I know a lot of people go to Reddit, but that's still censored. Like trust me. I mean, even as people were using, like, because Joe Rogan was pitching this DuckDuckGo, right? DuckDuckGo was like a Google, right? You can type it in. I don't even know what the website is because I never used it, but even that they're saying now is fake. So, like, they were pushing that was real and all this stuff. Like, that's also filtered and whatever it's moderated. So fake news, you don't know what to believe nowadays. Yeah. It sucks. So I always say protect what you can, and what you can is in your home, in your house. Right. So that's all I can do.
Well, it's one of those things, like I was telling Mia, we had touched on the subject about AI. And I was telling Mia that freaks me out because we're already in that world. We just don't know it. And people don't realize that the face recognition on our phones, right? The face, the FaceTimes, the snaps, the filters, it's reading our faces. Our faces are already out there. So, and then people get mad like, oh, you know, they're taking my privacy. It's like, hello, everything that you talk about, they're listening. It's being picked up.
In fact, you're giving them more information, like data. When they ask you, put it in your email, put it in your, where do you live, pin your location, you know, everywhere you travel. Like,
yeah. And it's one of those things now with cryptocurrencies coming in. Now, once we get everything, we're eventually going to lose paper money. We're already heading that way. So that's not going to exist anymore. So, we're getting into the crypto world. Once we get in there, that's it. We're done. And we are giving, without knowing like our rights, our freedom. We're already lost that.
With crypto is over, like what is it? Cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency. When that's all in flotation, right? 100%, no more paper stuff. That's it for us?
That's it for us.
There was this, I don't know if you guys believe in time traveling or whatever. But
I watched Back to the Future.
These I've never seen it.
Oh my god, you gotta watch it.
No, I like being the type of person who doesn't watch popular movies. Like, I've never seen Lord of the Rings, I've never seen Star Wars, Star Trek, a little bit of Harry Potter.
Would you call yourself a contrarian?
What's that?
A contrarian, someone that goes against the norm.
Kind of. You know. I don't want to watch it because it's popular. I'd be like, I don't like, if you want to talk about it, like, I'm not gonna know about it because I don't want to give in to what everybody's in. But anyways. But there is this time traveler who said he was from like 20 whatever, like super far into the future, and that he came back and he started a Twitter and he started posting all his predictions. There's a lot of accounts out there on Twitter that are time travelers and stuff, but they're posting these predictions. And one of them was that cryptocurrency is going to take over and there's not going to be paper anymore. And then books are not going to be a thing anymore. Books are going to be a sacred thing because you're just going to stop producing books, which is true because there's not that many bookstores now. And then like Barnes and Noble's going out of business. Right, But he did say that, like, everything's going to be cryptocurrency and, like, online payments and stuff. And he said that, I think, like, a year or two before cryptocurrency took off. I think at that point it was, like, Dogecoin was, like, the shit. And it was, like, around that time where he did say that. So that doesn't surprise me, like, that you say that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it was one of the messages that had came in. It was, like, take your money within this time frame, take your money out from the bank because it's not going to be worth anything. It's going to be where you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to take out cash. And gold is going to have that same, it's going to go up. Like,
well, Nostradamus, that was one of his predictions. You know who Nostradamus is? His prediction was that, like, was cryptocurrency too, but he didn't say cryptocurrency. He said that, like, men were going to be paying with gold coins and that was going to be the official world trade, because El Salvador now takes only like cryptocurrency and Dogecoin, right? Like, they don't do, which I think is like funny because I mean, I could say shit. I'm from El Salvador, my dad's from, so you can't cancel me because I'm from there. But like, they're so like against, like, just, they're not modern. They're kind of modern, but then they're not. They're definitely like 2 steps forward but 5 steps back, not 1 step forward. It's just like, you know,
I think a lot of people would say it's a third world country, or
for sure is a third world country.
For a third world country to go full crypto,
like, it's kind of like, what? And then meanwhile they're like banning women's rights and stuff. So it's just kind of like so funny how, and I think it was just voted like #1 most dangerous like Latin American country to visit as a woman right now. And it's like but it's just so funny to me. Texas. Well, it's just funny to me that like they accept cryptocurrency and like that's their nationality thing now, and then like
so that's why it goes back to the thing where we're losing control of our power. Like, we don't have our power. People think that we're free, but we really are not. And then you see that especially with the things going on in Texas with abortion, and now that they removed the Roe versus Wade, right?
Did you hear about that? Like the face filters, I think it's in Texas and Illinois, and now they don't have, I didn't know about it until like on TikTok, literally. So Instagram fully moved it just because somebody from Texas placed a lawsuit. Like, one of the congressmen placed a lawsuit against Instagram, and then
And if because of facial, they say distorts facial recognition. But why do you need facial recognition? They're asking the wrong questions.
No, they made the claim that it was messing with like women's self-conscious and body dysmorphia and stuff like that.
Is that what that is? Or
that's like what their claim, their lawsuit claim was that like it's messing with the mentality of women because so now like anything you can still use filters, but not ones that add makeup to your face and stuff. TikTok you can. TikTok I don't think. Well, I don't know because TikTok is U.S. owned
but
now.
It's contradicting. What they're saying is contradicting because they're like, oh, you know, we want to raise the self-confidence of women, but then we're taking away women's rights in the same state. Right? So it's like, liars.
There's just like a lot. I don't know like how true some things are, but they're saying like, oh, no, they want to like ban condoms and make it harder for birth control to be accessed. And that if you're going to leave the state, you have to prove that you're not pregnant. Like stupid shit. Like I think it's just things people are spreading, but like that wouldn't even fucking surprise me.
There's bigger, like, you know, every time that there's a policy that's up there that you have to vote for, like you know, whatever state, city, county, there's a bigger picture behind it. So like for example, you know, here in California we vote when I say we is because it passed, but I mean not that I specifically voted yes for it. Again, these are just my opinions, you know, not theirs, mine, hot takes or yours. But like Gascon, right? Everybody's right now trying to not impeach him, but what do you call it?
Who?
Gascon, our DA, our district attorney of California.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
They're trying to remove him, right? Recall, that's the word. Recall Gascon. Well, we all voted for this law to go where these kids, these people that are robbing these people, you know, if it's no more than like a certain amount, I don't even know what the amount is, like 15,000 or 5,000, I think it is. So if you steal $4,999 from somewhere, you're not going to get it's going to be like a slap on the wrist. You know what I mean? So people are doing that. They're breaking and whatever they're calling it, break and dash or whatever, where like they're stealing at stores. No. Like
regular people.
Oh,
people
like
that are raiding
like rob.
stores,
right?
Yeah, you know, you cannot get convicted if it's no more than a certain amount anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we agreed to all that. You know, third strikes and stuff. We're agreeing to all that to get removed. But yet there's a bigger picture because now all this crime is happening around us, and we're like, you know, recall this guy Gascon, but we all voted for that. You know, again, all of us as a society, California, we all voted for that.
It's kind of like the gas bill, like I think it was like the number 6 gas bill, like, oh, you want new roads? Like here, do like vote yes on this, vote yes on this. But then people who voted yes are now the ones complaining that like, not right now because of the oil price and stuff, but back then, I think 2 years ago, were the ones saying like, why is my gas price so high? But like in little, like at the bottom in little writing, it says like, oh, but gas prices will go up if you vote yes because we need to somehow pay for it, and it's the gas. And so it's just kind of one of those of like, oh cool, like you just see the service level, but then you're not reading like the fine print, like the little
no. And so this is a perfect example too, is like with what is it, Wade versus Roe, and you know they're trying to the abortion thing.
Roe versus Wade. Wade versus
Roe versus Wade. So same thing where, you know, now they're making it illegal and all that, or they want to make it illegal, but then you have like I'm terrible at these IVF. In what is it called? In vitro fertilization, right? So like stuff like that will be illegal. You cannot do that anymore.
Yeah.
So now you're saying that people that cannot have kids, and there's science out there that can make you. I mean, I know people that have done that, and that's how they got their babies now. You know what I mean? They have their kids due to that. They paid a lot of money for it, but they have their babies now that their body was unable to, you know, produce that. So that would be illegal. So there's a long chain of effect that happens here. And
then like if you have a miscarriage, like you could potentially be convicted at a hospital because it's like, oh, yeah, you're having a miscarriage, but then like these hospital officials don't know if you induced the miscarriage. So you could be like
the law
for
says
manslaughter, like, you know, it's just like one of those where, but definitely I know the states that are going to keep it are like Seattle. Washington as a state has laws placed into their system that prohibit laws against abortion and like filing cases against abortion. Like if, oh, my girlfriend got an abortion, I want to like file a case. Like you can't really do that. So like California, Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom's really popular on TikTok because that's how he's smart as fuck. But that's how he's been appealing to like the younger generation recently. And it's like fucking working because where we live in Rancho is so like MAGA, Trump, red state. They wanted to recall Gavin Newsom because he's shit and But around that same time, Gavin Newsom was becoming more popular on TikTok, appealing to like my younger generation and putting his views of like the blue views that he has, the left side, and so now he's getting like a stronger support from like my younger generation versus like the old people who wanted to bring him down. So he was like he had just released like a 90-second, like we don't have, like, my generation doesn't have a long attention span. We're not gonna sit there fucking listening to 2-hour stuff with big words. Like I don't fucking know what you're saying. Like you know, you could throw big words at me and I'm like, yeah, cool, but like dumb it down for me. You know, like sadly that's how it is. And what he did on TikTok was he posted a video saying that like, how are you pro-life if you're not feeding the children, if you're not funding money into foster care, like just all these things, saying that like we are a pro-life state but not in the way that you see it, and just kind of like, this is our views, like we do this A, B, C, and D. And then everybody in the comments was like, oh my god, like you're fucking awesome, like that's my governor. And then people from other states are like, oh my god, I wish I had a governor like this, like I'm so jealous, like you're so modern. So it's like so like interesting. It's really interesting.
That's politics.
It is.
That's politics.
Politics is scary.
Yeah, it is. And I know we veered off to that, but that really is. That's how it is. Like in politics, it's how do I get them to vote? Because, you know, that's all it is. It's the vote. And once you get them to vote, it just totally.
And right now it's the younger generation. Like the younger generation are going to kill off the boomers. Like they're going to take over. It's just one of those of like, these politicians need to start gearing towards the younger generation, because the people they're veering towards, like they got like 20-30 years left before they die. Like who's gonna vote for you now? So it's kind of like these mindsets are not gonna stay long. Everybody's seeing that
with all like the first black woman vice president, right? And then all these young ladies from different nationalities that are in Congress. That's what we're gonna be expecting. All these older these older old white men that have been in Congress and in politics for so long. So
I mean, like that's how I see it. Is like they're gonna die off, and then it's gonna change in the next 20 years. It's not gonna be the same, for sure. And I think like that's why these laws are getting put into place, because I think they're scared, because they like lock it fucking down. Know. And especially like my generation, like Gen Z, we're so verbal. Like we don't give a fuck. Like we don't respect old people no more. You know how like back then it's like respect your elders. I'll fight a fucking 80-year-old woman if I have to. Like I'm chilling. Like I don't care. Like if you're rude to me, like I'll sock you back. Like that's how, like not how my mom raised me, but just that's how we see it. I was like, you're not gonna, like we're so I was telling my mom about this. I had like 20 jobs. I'm 23. Any job you think of, I've worked it. So it's like we don't take it no more. Like, oh, my manager's treating me like shit. Here's my 2 weeks. Oh, this customer said shit to me. I'm gonna say something back. Like. You're going to write me up. Okay. Like, what's that going to do? I'll just get a new job. Like, you know, like, it's so interesting. And I do think that like these older, like specifically Republicans are getting scared, because now like the younger generation is so liberal. Like for 10 Republicans, you have like 600 lefties. Like, you know, so it's like really interesting how like I say like Gen Z is going to save the world. And I think we are, because we're more like we're fixing whatever like the boomers fucked up. Like, you know, like everything that they like destroyed, like we're starting to fix it. So I think like the next 20 to 30 years is going to be so fucking interesting.
Well, and then every conspiracy theory goes back to politics. Whether it's either politics or religion, something.
That's why it's probably, I mean, a lot of these conspiracy theories are probably geared, you know, or like run by these governments, you know, like themselves is what they do. You know, they're the ones that do it, I think, you know. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. I think every generation has something to fuck up, and they do, and they're known for it, because we never praise anything like all the good stuff and positive. We always talk about the negative shit.
Like we need to fix this. We need to do this. We need to do that.
So I know Gen Z eventually, whatever generation after Gen Z is gonna be talking shit about the Gen Zs, just like
it's gonna be really interesting.
Because I can tell you right now, like I think my era was the best. Just like you may think that, you know, our music was better, we dressed better. I mean, we dressed better because
the 90s are coming back.
You guys are starting to dress like
we're starting to dress like the 90s again. Like the other day, I had put like these butterfly clips in my hair. Like, well, quick, mom was like, "Oh my god, you look like me in the 90s." I'm like, I just have 2 butterfly clips in my hair, but literally, like all the 90s styles are coming back. Like that dark lipstick, the thin eyebrows were making a comeback. Like a few months ago.
I'm still trying to grow mine out.
I know my mom was like, "Don't do it," because I had took a photo and I had thin eyebrows. I look exactly like my mom in high school, because it gave me like the chola lips and everything, and I was like, "Oh, I look like my mom." And I was like, "Wait, I look good with thin eyebrows."
I went to a it was a 90s R&B. It was like a DJ was playing. It was in downtown LA. And so I go, me and 2 of my friends, and so we get there, and it's all 90s R&B and hip hop. and nothing but young kids. I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is not what a crowd expected. But it was so funny because they were all wearing bucket hats. Yeah. They were all dressed like with flannel shirts. And I'm like, I just
bomber jackets are making a comeback.
Yeah, and I was like, it was like walking back in time. And I was like, what the heck? And they knew, and I was like, they're not gonna know the songs. They knew every lyric. It was so crazy. I was like,
they love it. I mean, but even in the 80s, the 80s, we talk about the 80s right now. You got a lot of people that were all rockabilly. In the 80s, that's what it was. So I think every generation just copycats. And
they put like a little twist on it.
They put a little twist on it, try to make it their own. But it's just, I think we're always gonna have that. It's always gonna be my era was the best. Yours sucks. Like. Get off my yard. Kind of thing. That's how I am now. Like, hey man, that kid's on my yard. Get off my yard. That's just how it is. That happens with time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. But it's very interesting. It's interesting to be able to have all that. I would say, all that information is, I think sometimes it's a little bit too much. Yeah. Right. And I think at the end of the day, you have to take everything that you read online or that you see with a grain of salt, because it's hard to separate what is real and what isn't. Yeah. So you have to be careful with that. There's a lot of things going on, and there's some people that are just so weak-minded that they get brainwashed right away. Yeah. Like that when people wanted to rush Area 52. Do you remember that? A while, like 51. Was it during
51?
51?
Yeah.
Well, 51. And and people, they're like, let's do it.
It was like a meme, and then like only 20 people showed up, but it was like millions of people were like, we're gonna do it and get the aliens out and da-da-da.
It's
which that right there's another conspiracy, right? We don't know if that's Area true 51. Or not. Area 51, because supposedly the rules, if you get near, you're gonna get blasted, right? You're gonna get done.
They have like, what are they called, like little mines that like explode, like if you step here and well, Malcolm, I don't know if you guys see Malcolm in the Middle, like all this episodes, but there's like an episode where they go to Las Vegas, and then like the dad and one of the kids stumbles upon Area 51, and they're like running through Area 51, and then like everything's blowing up because they're trying to kill them because they're not supposed to be there, and then they get held captive, and then they're being questioned like, why are you here, how did you find out, so it's kind of like,
well, I mean, we have to have bases like that where we, experiment, where we have to test.
I don't think it's Area 51. It's definitely somewhere else. I think Area 51 is the like decoy where they do Maybe, stuff there, but there's definitely somewhere else where we don't know about it.
The Denver
that
airport.
They do. The Denver airport, right under Delta, Delta Sky Lounge. But it's just like, like it's just things like that. Like there's so much open land in the United States, and then we also have stuff like we have fucking land in Afghanistan, we have land in Syria, like we have fucking Guantanamo Bay. Who knows what the fuck are they doing in like Guantanamo Bay? So it's just kind of like you never know. Yeah.
I do miss the folklore stories, because we grew up with, like, you and I grew up with that, where nowadays you tell a kid a story and then they're quick to go on Google and check it out and like, that's bullshit. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like back in the day, we took it for real. Like I grew up learning about duendes. Oh, duendes. In fact, we have an ongoing joke over here in the house where if you hear like a noise in the other room and then right away you say, El Duende. You know what I mean?
Well, I do that all the time when I can't find something. I'm like, it's the fucking duendes. Like, I literally did it yesterday because I had my earrings in the car, and I put one earring on, and then I lost the other one, and I was like, how the fuck did I lose it? And when I was out with my boyfriend, I was like, there's fucking duendes in my car because my shit keeps missing. Like, my promise ring is missing. My earring just randomly went missing when I was driving. Couldn't find it. So I'm like, there's fucking duendes. Every time I lose something, I'm like, it's duendes. And my mom's like, stop saying that.
I'm like, don't acknowledge them.
Yeah. And well, you had a recent experience.
Yeah, like yesterday I went to the hair salon, and before I walked in, I as soon as I went around the corner of the building to go through the front door, I stopped, and I'm like, okay, there's something weird going on here, and but it wasn't anything like a ghost or bad energy. Like, I could tell the difference. Like, my body senses it different. And I'm like, okay, this is something that is either like, this is magic. Like, this is something different. And it felt, and I stopped, and I'm like, I was going to turn around. I'm like, oh no, I need to get my hair. So I I saw something out of the corner. You know, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like you see, like you might see something like flash by, like out of the corner of your eye. You're like, okay, you know, I'm just seeing things. And then so I'm like, okay, I need to get through. I'm not gonna acknowledge it. And then so I just, you know, prayed a little bit, and then I just went through the front door. And my hairstylist, when I sat down, she's like, what are you picking up? I'm like, what do you mean? Because you could tell right away. I'm like, even when you said earlier, like, what's coming in? Like,
well, a couple times already today, right? Earlier during this recording.
It's like I can't hide it. I'm usually pretty good, but sometimes it's so strong. I'm like, and if you read me pretty well, you'll be able to tell right away when I pick up something. But my hairstylist was like, you picked up something. She goes, you hesitated to walk in. I'm like, yeah, I did. And she's like, is it like someone in the salon? Is it a customer? Is it something in here? And I'm like, actually, it's not. Like, I feel good in here. And I said, but it's by your door. And I go, I'm like, it's Duendes. And she's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, they're like running around, but they're not in, like, they're lucky they're not in the salon. They're just like around the building. I go, and I've never felt them before. Yeah. And I go, so they must, because the way that they travel is through portals, right? That's how they get around. And they just happen to be around that area. So there's something there because they're attracted to shiny objects. They are mischievous. So whatever was around there got their attention. So they hang around for a while. And I really believe that if you acknowledge them, then they start messing with you. So I always tend to stay not acknowledge that.
I never heard of that.
Or what?
Acknowledging them.
Yeah, don't acknowledge them.
I always do. I'm like yelling at them.
And then also fairies. Like fairies are also, they're little mischievous too. Those are, I don't know which ones are worse, but fairies will also mess with you, so you don't want to bother them. And you know,
I've never had a personal experience with duendes. That's why I'm so skeptical. Again, guys, I'm the skeptic.
Yeah, and we said that.
I feel like we're breaking you a little bit, though.
For sure, definitely, right? So, but again, because I've never had that experience. I've only heard stories, so I'll share a couple of those stories. But I've seen on YouTube like some of these videos. But then again, it's YouTube, and you don't know what to believe.
It's like the early 2000s grainy ass videos in the night, and you see a little shadow.
It could be.
I seen like the one where they're playing soccer, and then the little duende comes out in the back,
and then I go freak out, and they all
panic, like little kids run.
And then nowadays you could do that with your cell phone. Like you can edit a video like that, and it'll be clear, no grainy stuff, you know. So, you know, you don't know how true these videos are. It reminds me of that one movie with that M. Night Shyamalan movie called I think The Signs, where they have aliens that come down.
Oh yeah, with Mel Gibson comes down.
Yes, Mel Gibson. Yeah. They're messing with the crops or whatever. Remember that grainy video of that alien that was like in Peru? Yeah, like that was walking by. Like, those are some of the videos that I saw with duendes, you know. So I'm like, I don't know if that's true or not, but people that I know, I believe, told me stories of their experiences with duendes, like yourself right now. So I'd be an asshole if I didn't believe your story, you know. But some of the stories again were like in Central America, and specifically was Guatemala. My cousin's wife, Irma, she had her family, they're living in Guatemala, and they had like the stories of that where the duendes would come up from the river, supposedly. I guess that's where they hang out, or that's where they chill, I don't know. And they would come up and they would braid their hair, not so much braid, but knot their hair, like very small knots, and it'd take them forever to get rid of them. Sometimes they had to cut the hair because they couldn't do it. So like stories like that where I was like, that's crazy. But then who would do that in their sleep? And why would you do that to someone? Yeah. That's a pretty fucked up prank. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I believe them, but they gotta be true, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's like all the stories that you hear, they come from somewhere, right? Yeah. There's an origin, and as you know, they get passed down the line. Of course, it might be embellished or exaggerated, but there is some truth to that. And I think for me, because I have the gifts that I have, my view from the world is so different from others. So I know there's some things that I'm like, okay, yeah, that's real. You know, like I don't, all those like folklores, all those Greek mythologies, all those drawings and temples and pyramids, they all come from somewhere. Yeah. Right. It's, so there's a truth to all that. And only because it's like people saying, well, your gift is bullshit because they don't see what I see or they don't feel what I feel, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's always a truth to that. Yeah. Especially in Mexico, there's all kinds of shit. Central America, you know, there's always those stories. I had a cousin of mine. She was telling me that for one of her birthdays, they gave her a watch. It was like a little antique clock that you put on a mantle, and that was used. And then she said that a friend of hers found it like at a thrift shop or something, because she was like, why is she giving me an old watch? She's like, oh, you know, I found it. I thought you would like it. It would look good in your home. So she gave it to her, and she was like, okay, this thing does not go with anything in my house. So she put it in her bedroom, like on top of her dresser or something. And she was saying that night after she got it, that she was asleep and that she was having nightmares, that she kept having nightmares, and that by the second night that she felt like something wake her up. And she said that when she woke up, that she saw like a duende, like a little troll or something coming out from the clock.
Oh shit!
Trying to, yeah, and that she was like, that she said that was crawling from the clock, and that she screamed, and when she turned on the light, it like got scared and it
took off. Yeah.
Took off, and that she left the light on, and her husband had a graveyard job at the time, and she ended up calling her mom and my aunt, and she said, Mom, you need to come over here. I saw something. I don't know. I think my mind's playing tricks on me. She goes, but I'm scared. Yeah. Come sleep with me. I don't want to be alone. So my tia went over there, and my tia, you know, she does like egg cleansings and stuff like that. She, you know, our old generation, we believe on all that stuff, right? And so when she told her what happened, and then my tia ended up getting the clock, and she said, oh yeah, she goes, you need to get rid of this. She goes, don't ever accept used gifts from anyone, because you don't know where they come from. And so so they ended up destroying the clock, and then after that she was fine.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, Cheli, it was like the ugliest thing I had ever seen. She's like, she goes, and my aunt was like, you know, don't mess with duendes. They will fuck with you. Like they will, like they're horrible. They'll bite you. Yeah. They'll mess with you. Like just get rid of it, because that's their property, and they'll do anything that they like to come in. That's like and steal things and move things. Yeah. And they see something, especially shiny objects or gold or stuff like that, or jewelry. They get attracted, coins, stuff like that.
I wonder what the origin is of a duende. Like that would be for them out there looking at it. It's like a goblin or a leprechaun. It could be a duende, right? So what do you think the origin of that would be? I didn't do enough research. You know, we probably should have, right? But I didn't do enough research on the duende to know what it is. Do you guys know what it is?
It's
like, were there like small children that got murdered, like by a German guy holding a sword?
A machete.
A machete?
No, I think that, you know, prior to, you know, humans were obviously not the only creatures that walked our world many thousands and hundreds and millions of years ago. You know, just the way we had dinosaurs. The human, we're very young. Yeah. We're very primitive still. Right. Like we haven't been around that long. Yeah. The human race in general. And I think prior to that, we had other creatures as well that became extinct, or that they hid out, like mermaids. I think mermaids are real. Dragons are real. It's just, you know, with time, everything dies down, like the way the dinosaurs. Something will come and extinct the planet, and then a whole new civilization will arise. You know, just the way the Aztecs and the Mayans, what happened to them? They got killed because of plagues and stuff like that. Yeah. The civilization that built the pyramids. If you see all the pyramids throughout the world, they're all the same, like the same shape, right? And it's like, how did man build that? Yeah, you know, and so precise. And it's just a whole Atlantis. Like Atlantis was a real city. It got sunk in. There's so many other creatures and worlds that some of them either had to hid and be buried or hide somewhere to be protected, to protect themselves. And I think within the next the next 3 to 8 years, we're going to start discovering new species, supposedly, but they're really ancient. They're going to be coming out. Yeah. So.
Do you think that the human race, whatever you think, I mean, is our time going to come eventually?
I think so. I think the way like Neanderthals, how they like died, or like the first type of human, and chimpanzees, because evolution's real.
I think we're going to revert back.
I think there's going to be a new type of species of us. But, you know, like how you compare it to like the first ones.
I used to think the same thing, like a superhuman, because when CrossFit was really big, I thought maybe all these CrossFitters.
We were literally talking about P90X. Like, I was telling my mom, like, you remember because my mom was obsessed with P90X. Like, obsessed. She had all the DVDs. And she would do it all the time, her and my dad. And then my mom used to do like P90X Saturdays, and then like people from the neighborhood would come over and work out in the garage and do that shit. And I was telling my mom, like, you remember that shit was like a cult. Like, it was so popular. And I was telling my mom, like, I wonder what happened to those guys. Like, they were so, like, that was like the time. Like, they had the world and the United States in their fucking hands.
They had the attention for sure.
For so fucking long. And that's when you actually had to buy the CDs and the equipment or whatever, because now you could just do it online.
It turned into CrossFitting. You know, people doing like that took its own little thing. You know, like there's like CrossFit Olympics almost, right? All these competitions. So, but no, I really did. I was like thinking, like, shit, if we were gonna get wiped out, and who's gonna survive? It's gonna be these CrossFitters, right? That's gonna be that superhuman
jumping
race.
over the lava and rocks and dodging everything.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. You know, I was thinking.
But if you think about it, like, that's one of the things for the younger generation. How the hell they're gonna survive? They can't cook. They can't hunt. They don't have basic survival
like
skills.
Hunger Games.
It's like, it's gonna be one of those things where, like, if people really think about it, they're so dependent, and so am I. Like, we're all dependent on technology. Yeah. But what happens when it crashes down? Like, really, what happens? What do you have left? What skills do you have to survive?
Yeah.
Just hope that you're not alive when it happens.
Right.
Exactly. Well, even like this medium here of podcasting, like people use it as a big platform to like voice their opinion, and you know, we want to fight the power or whatever. Like, we're doing it through podcasting. Podcasting could end for you on a flip of a button.
Right.
Yeah.
If the internet goes out, you're done.
Yeah. And
so
influencers too, the people that depend on the internet, right? And the followers and this and that. The same thing. What happens when that turns off?
Exactly.
What is going to happen? Like, what skills do you have? No one's going to see you.
You can't order your Uber Eats anymore.
It's like everything is so dependent on that, and it is pretty scary. It is pretty scary. What about those cars, like the Tesla cars that drive themselves, right?
Well, check this out.
That's scary.
You know, I was doing a little bit of research, you know, and I saw that like there's a theory out there that Pixar, right, Disney, there's so many like Disney movies have these like weird clues of what's gonna happen.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs. There you go. So the movie Cars, like, let's just say the human race is eradicated, no more, right? So these cars take in the personalities of their last owner, right?
That's funny.
And these, like, if you look at the movies, like, there's no humans in the movies, in the Cars movie. Everything, so they adapted to their environments and all that. So it's just all cars. And then now you have these Teslas that are self-driving cars. You don't need a chauffeur or anything like that. So then they started putting that in and equating that to the movie Cars. I'm like, I know that that's a crazy theory.
But still.
Like, I mean, some people may believe it. Okay, here's a perfect example. Do you remember the birds aren't real?
Oh, yeah, that they were like secret spies for the government, and the pigeons aren't real and stuff. Yeah.
You know that was a big, this is this guy's test, like this, what do they call it? A social experiment is what they called it. This guy went out there, like, after all these interviews, and after he was trying to convince all these people, and he did have a huge following of people that really thought that birds aren't real. And at the end, he just said, it was just a social experiment. I just wanted to prove to you that you can all be manipulated. And if a college kid, is able to do this and convince hundreds of thousands of people that birds aren't real, imagine what the government that have all the resources, all the money, all the resources, they can convince somebody, one race, us, that shit is real. Pandemic, COVID, take it for whatever it is, but that's the talk that's going on right now as we speak, current event. So it threw me off. I was like, what? Wait a minute. That's true. Like, if you say something long enough and people believe it, if you get enough people to believe it, it starts to become true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where we coming back to where people go into cults, right? Yeah. Like
cults are so easy to start.
Like
if I told my mom if I wanted to, I could start a cult right now.
Yeah,
with
like
our listeners.
Like a Scientologist, that's a cult. Going into that one, oh my God, what's it called? That one,
there's Heaven's
Gate. That's where I was going. Heaven's Gate. So Heaven's Gate, because I used to work in forensics, is one of the cases that we studied. So we had the detective and the people that did the autopsy for Heaven's Gate come into and talk about those cases, because that's how we stay on top of forensics and stuff, studying what went wrong and what could we do if that happens again. So one of the things with this person was where he convinced everybody that, if you follow me, we're going to kill ourselves, but we're going to continue living, and we're all going to go, this alien's going to come on,
we're going to realm or whatever.
Yeah. And there's so many, cases like that where people take on a spiritual leader role and they prey on the weak, right? That are looking for answers, that are already people that are already broken.
Jamestown started.
Yeah. And it's like the people that are hurt and broken and alone and unhappy will do anything to feel part of a family, to feel part of something, to have meaning.
Gangs, cults.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many things.
Religion.
Like that.
Cults. I love cults.
Religion.
Like, from a psychological point of view, cults are so fucking fascinating. Like, the leaders, but let alone like the followers.
Yeah.
It's like, I love diving into cults. I think cults are so bad. Everything's a cult. Yeah. If there's a group and there's a leader, it's a cult. Religion is a cult. Yeah. People can say it's not, but it is. Anything that involves a group and a leader, that's a cult.
Well, what's that kid that rapper dude? I don't even know his name. The one that just recently
Travis Scott.
Is that Astro the one that where all the kids were like
Astro
stepping.
Yeah.
That's a cult. To me, that's a cult because they're following.
He's not preaching anything. I mean, they're not following. It was just a festival.
Yeah, but the guy that did the rapper and didn't do anything. People were getting trampled because people didn't give a shit and they were jumping on top of ambulances. Yeah. You're not gonna tell me that that wasn't a call. If that dude would have fucking stand up and stopped it and told everybody to chill and would have stopped the concert, people would have listened. But he didn't do that, so they followed that example. Yeah,
perfect example, Selena. Remember that?
Remember
in the movie when she told everybody, shh, when they were breaking down the stage and they all relaxed and the stage was about to fall apart. Mm-hmm. I know it's a movie, guys, but it's based on true.
Well, Billie Eilish, I don't know if you know who Billie Eilish is, but when her Coachella stage, she noticed when people passed out. Like, there was a moment where, because people were passing out of dehydration, she was in the middle of talking, and then like these people were pointing a flashlight so that way first responders know where to go. And so she, like, we couldn't see it, but she like saw it and she was like, oh, somebody's like passed out, like go to them, go get them, make sure they're okay. And like she's done it. It's happened. It's scary because it's happened at her concerts before where people actually pass out. So like people have pointed that like this isn't the first time this happens at her concerts, but maybe she just notices it like instantly. But it's really interesting. Have you seen The Office? There's like an episode where Creed is like, oh yeah, I love cults. He was like, I've been both of it, like leaders and followers, but you have more fun as a follower. He's like this old man. That's how I see cults.
You do have more fun
it's so I think like from a psychological point of view, it's so easy to manipulate someone. I tell my mom, like, if you want to start a fucking cult, you can, because now you have all these followers and they believe you. If you were to say you were like God and that he was giving you these abilities to talk, these people are gonna believe you. And I tell my mom, like, no, I want to start a cult so I can have friends. And my mom was like, you're so stupid. But it's like, it's honestly like, especially in today's society where we're so divided, it's so easy to start a cult. So easy. Like, that's how Jonestown was during that time. The guy, I think his name was like Jimmy or whatever, when he started Jamestown. Jamestown. He keeps saying Jonestown. James Jones, whatever.
That's but the one that moved to another country, right? Where he had that little town
in South America. And he started by preaching, because during his times he was very like modern, or very like, oh, black and white people like mixing and and preaching out. So that's how he got a bunch of minorities where like that died over there. And so it's just kind of one of those of like grabbing people who don't feel accepted and feel loved, like, you're part of me, I love you, I don't care if you're bi, if you're gay, if you're this, like, I love you. So it's just kind of like anyone can do it.
I know
anyone can do it.
I know a few people right now, like on social media, that I know personally that can start a cult.
It's so easy.
Easily can start a cult.
And people don't see that. Yeah. And I think it's just fascinates me where like YouTubers, like they could start a cult if they wanted to. And there's this one girl who was very known on TikTok for posting her dances and stuff. And she got sucked into a cult of like these famous people and stuff. And it's not, I don't know the name because it's like a brand new cult, but she recently just stopped posting. She just went MIA on social media. And her family tried, like, her fans were concerned about it because they kind of noticed a change in her videos and stuff. And then they like noticed she was a part of this specific cult, and they reached out to the family members, and the family members tried doing something, and she was like, the police were like, we can't do anything. Like, she's a 20-year-old something, we can't do shit about it. But I could talk about all day about cults. They're just like, it's so crazy.
Any like cult and club have this almost the same letters, right? Cult, club. But any club, any gathering, anytime you can get one, like you said, one leader that says this is what we're doing or whatever, like, and you follow, if you believe, you follow, you're a follower. It's kind of weird that they name these on these social sites. Like they want you, they pay you if you have more views. They pay you if you have more followers. Because then it gets your head like this, and you start believing in all that shit. But there's a reason why they call them followers. Like, they did it on purpose. You know what I mean? Because they want you to believe that I have all these followers, you know? I only have like, I'm not even like at 2,000 followers, right? I don't think I could ever start a cult, even if I had a huge
a beer drinking cult. Everybody has to drink a beer.
Yeah, even though today we're drinking wine, so shout out to
19 Crimes.
19 Crimes. You know, this one we haven't opened up yet, but we're on.
That one is so strong.
Is it?
I can't drink that one. It's too dry for me.
Oh yeah, we're drinking the Martha Stewart. It's
thank you, Martha.
Martha's Shard, as in Chardonnay. But no, it is. It's so easy to start a cult, and it's like. I've said it before, but like Spider-Man, like with the greatest power you have with the greatest gift you have a great power or something like that, or responsibility.
With a great gift comes like great responsibility.
There you go. Something like that. But it's like, what are you gonna use it for, right? Like for good, for evil. Mm-hmm. What's good? What's evil?
It's like me. I tell people, you know, if I wanted to, I could put a curse on you. If I wanted to, I could hex you. If I wanted to go to a darker side, I could do that. Yeah. But I'm scared of God. I believe in karma. I don't want none of that shit stuck on me. Like, I don't want to deal with anyone's curses. I won't do it. Mm-hmm. I won't mess with that. I think I've always been very strong since I was a little girl. Scared, but strong, and knowing, not being attracted to the dark is what saved me. And being able, because I think some people have gifts, but some people, you're so vulnerable, you could go either way. You could go either way.
I'm literally the fucking picture perfect curiosity killed the cat. I don't learn my lesson. I keep going. I'm like, ooh, Conjuring House and like the most craziest demon ever. Like, let me watch the video and let me do this and that. And then my mom is like, I tell you not to do it. And I'm like crying, I know. But then the next week I'm like, oh, new Lizzie Borden and her spirits. I'm like, ooh, Lizzie Borden. Like, you know, I'm like literally curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah. They got on your feed too. That's probably why too, because everything comes up on your feed, right? Like, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I took a break. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna watch any scary things now, because now I'm getting affected. But yeah, God knows what I would probably get like summoned. If anybody's gonna get trapped between me and my mom, it's gonna be me.
Well, it's one of those things too. Like when I do readings or when I go lives, I have. It was in the beginning when I was first giving readings. I was. There are some people that couldn't make decisions without contacting me. Yeah. Like simple decisions. And it got to the point where I'm like, you cannot come to me for every single time you have a doubt or every time you have to make a decision. You have to have that power and do it yourself. Don't, like, I might not be around. I might get run over tomorrow. I don't know. Like, you can communicate to God. I just happen to have a gift where I'm like the phone, like, you know, but that doesn't mean that you cannot have a direct connection with people that passed away or with God. You just have to know how to open that part of yourself up. Yeah. So I always tell people, like, trust your instinct. You know, if something doesn't feel right, then it's not. If it's too good to be true, because it's not. Mm-hmm. But there are some people, it could go either way. It could be the people that can't make decisions on their own without contacting me. Or there's the people that I tell them what to do and they do the complete opposite, aprenden. And then they come back asking the same questions and it's the same. So we have those. And then you have the ones in the middle that I give them the information and either they follow it or they don't, but they're aware of it.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it does happen, they come back and they're like, oh shit, what you said just happened. It's making sense. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I always tell people, any information that I give you is stuff that you should know that's either affecting you or is coming through, and you have the ability to change things. But it's gonna come to pass either way, whether it takes you a longer way to get there or a shorter way. Yeah. It's gonna happen, and it's frustrating sometimes, right? When they don't listen But if I wanted to take all those weak-minded people that can't make decisions on their own, I could create my cult.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. Mm-hmm. Cheli's cult.
Mm. I think I would make a good leader.
We may have to think of a better name than Cheli's cult.
I know.
The wine club.
The wine club.
This is why she's not starting a cult. She can't even come up with a name.
I'm too... Yeah, I couldn't do it. I would get annoyed. I'll be like, yeah, they have... stop following me. Leave me alone. Yeah. Like, I couldn't.
But see, there's a lot of people that like put yourself in your shoes. Like, there's a lot of those kind of people that will take that and go, God, like, all the people that they follow me and they look to me to do this and that, and they'll take that as a motivation to like start it and keep going with it. Where you said like you got to do shit on your own. You can't just wait for me, do stuff on your own. But there's some people that are like, well. Will take that pressure of like, all right,
because it's like, power.
It's power, right? All right, don't do this until this and this, and they like that power, and that's the difference between you and someone like an evil. I would say evil person like that, because maybe right now, but later down the line, like a Hitler and a Mussolini, evil, Genghis Khan. Yeah, those guys were straight up evil, but they eventually started this empire. Mm-hmm. Of followers, and that's
Rome
what
always
it
falls.
is.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen here. Like Rome, I think it was only lasting 300 years. There's this theory that we're not going to last past 300 years, that we're going to make ourselves fall to it, because we're still like a toddler country. Like we're barely like...
We're not that far away.
200,
yeah, I think we
we're
already
like,
lost a lot of respect.
Yeah, we're like...
That's all, folks. Just after this, we got deep in conspiracy theories, and we continued for another hour or so. It was an awesome conversation that will remain between three people and the Duendes. We'll most definitely have to record again. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.